Hello and welcome to Defining the Research Project. This is Dr. G. I hope you're having a fantastic day. What we're going to discuss during this lecture is the theory or the concept of taking a business problem and then translating it into something that you can research. So we're going to talk about the steps in problem formulation. And then we're going to talk about types of decision problems. What's the difference between a decision problem and a research problem? We're also going to spend a little bit of time making sure that you understand that it's really important that you set expectations and you deliver on what's expected from you. And we do this by creating a research agreement. We're also going to discuss the elements of a research proposal and then do a couple of activities. So let's get started. As you know, the research process has 5 different steps. The first thing that we need to do is what we're going to learn about today, and that is formulating the problem. Why are we researching something to begin with? And the problem includes, what is it that I want to accomplish? What's my objective? And then what do I need to know? It's not until we have a good, sound problem to research and question to get answers for, do we ever go to the second step, which is talking about designing the research. What's available to me today, what's already been done, what resources do I need? And then once you've created that design, then you're going to collect the data. Primary data, again, meaning the things that you have created that you have surveyed on your own or collected on your own, versus secondary research, which is articles and different types of research journals, etc., that have been done by somebody else. Not until we do that do we analyze and interpret the data and then finally make a decision. So we are in the formulating the business problem, the very first part of the research process. So you might be thinking, well, what really are you talking about here? What we're trying to do is we're trying to close the gap between understanding what a business problem is and understanding what we don't know. So you can look at lots of different marketing research problems, such as, what do my consumers need? How satisfied are my current customers? What are they willing to pay? And remember, all of these questions that we are going to ask have a business problem related to them. So why would you want to know what a customer wants and needs? Because you want to increase your revenue, or maybe you're creating a new product. So the business problem is the objective, and the research question is how you're going to collect the information to help you reach that objective. All right, and our goal is at the end of the day to fill the knowledge gap of what we don't know. So there's 2 different types of research or business problems. There's the problem, meaning you're trying to address something you're not happy with, something that's going wrong. And you need some information to help you understand maybe what the problem is or how to solve it. The second business problem is actually an opportunity. And these are things that you want to be proactive at. You're trying to identify areas where additional information is needed, but in something that you want to be forward. You want to try to find something of opportunity. So there's 2 different types of research business problems you can do. So today's opportunity is tomorrow's problem, meaning maybe you find an opportunity to solve your problem or vice versa. So think about it that way. You could do one or the other. So you might be thinking, well, what are some sorts of business problems that are typical in marketing research? And they are anything you can think of around a customer. Who are your customers? What are the target audiences? Are your customers satisfied? Who's bought in the past? Who's bought and who didn't buy? Are there behaviors or psychographics or demographics that will tell you that? A/B research in advertising. Which channels do you want to use? Which channels are most effective? Which piece of ad, copy, image, etc. So anything around advertising research, product research, developing new products. Are your products working well? Distribution research. How do you want to deliver your products to your audience? Is it through um, a website, an e-commerce channel? Is it delivered through somebody in person? Are you going to have a brick and mortar store? Sales research. So maybe you have a shopping cart on a website and you want to know, maybe why I'm not converting. Or sales could be how effective are your frontline salespeople? And then environment research, meaning, what's going on in the landscape? What's happening in competitors? Are there any situational factors, economics, political factors that are impacting your business problem? So think about these things as you start to brainstorm some examples. So there's a 6-step process in problem formulation, and it's really about meeting with the person who you're going to be doing research for, really clarifying and understanding what that problem or opportunity is, because that's going to be your objective and that's going to guide your research questions. State the manager's decision problem. Make sure that they understand it clearly, and then that's when you start to define the research problems and the questions that you need to create to address this. And then finally, make sure that you have agreement in what you're going to deliver. And we do this through a research request agreement. So first of all, meet with the client. The client, you're going to have to when you're going through the problem formulation process, you need to really understand what their problem or opportunity is. Ask a lot of questions. Ask them what they've done in the past. What are the objectives in their strategic plan or their marketing plan that they're trying to get addressed here? Is there anything from the management team that, from maybe an internal employee standpoint that you might be looking to do? And then figure out, is this a planned change or an unplanned change? So a planned change meaning you want to be proactive. Are you increasing revenue? Are you introducing products? Or is this something you're reacting to? You're reacting to low sales, or you're reacting to customer satisfaction issues, or maybe old products that have been around forever that you think might be needed to be refreshed. So the second thing is clarifying the problem. Again, one of the most important things a research can do is to get a different perspective on the problem. So maybe what you're hearing from the manager isn't exactly, what you think might be. So have that conversation with them. Think about different business problems, and then, get to the root cause of what it might be. Then what I want you to do is I want you to state the problem back to them and make sure that they understand whether this is a discovery-oriented problem. Remember unplanned changes. What's going on? Why is it going on? Or is it a strategy or plan changes? How can we make this happen? How are we going to be more proactive? And will it have a desired impact? So just don't stop at the discovery phase. Try to figure out strategy if possible. So if you figure out through one research study that, here's what's going on, then once you find that, take it to the next level and try to figure out or try to research a strategy-oriented problem. So just think about other things such as, are there trends? Are there hunches that your managers have? What ideas? What ifs? If we did this, what would happen? If we created a campaign, what might the results be? If we tweaked a feature on a product or changed a distribution channel, what might that question be? So then we're going to define the research problem. So we know what the decision problem is. So why are store revenues so low? So how can you turn this into a research problem? Well, investigate current customer satisfaction. Have you lost some customers? Maybe the demographics of your target market has changed in terms of perceptions. So this is an example of a discovery-oriented decision. You want to know the why something is happening. Whereas you could look at the strategy oriented, which would be, how do we increase store traffic? And the research problem could be, maybe you're going to investigate the different sales promotions or determine a customer response to a particular ad campaign. So can you see the difference here where it's proactive or reactive? Then you are going to select the research problem to be addressed. So you've got these two things. You've got a decision problem. Why are revenues low? You're going to decide, okay, we're going to investigate current customer satisfaction. And then the business problem is, how do we increase store traffic? You're going to determine the consumer response to two proposed campaigns. So you can answer more than one research problem in one particular survey, but you're likely going to have, or particular research study, you're likely going to want to make sure that what you're doing isn't too big. So you might want to hunk it up into several different things. All right, so you get the gist here. So what we're going to do now is, I want you to go into Canvas, pull down the business problem to research problem activity, and I want you to work on this week. We're going to show you a couple of examples here. So basically what we're doing is, we're translating a business issue that is going on for a company, and you are going to tell me what the business problem is and tell me what the research problem is, what you want to find out. So here we go. The first one is Hertz, and I'm just going to give you one example. There's 3 on your sheet. Okay, so you've got black and yellow colors have been a familiar sight to countless travelers renting cars, but now the century-old company is in bankruptcy court, seeking protection from creditors, devastated by drops in demand and fluctuations in the used car market resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. So the company was also slapped by drops in demand for used cars. Hertz pulls in money for the sale of the rental vehicles it retires every few years. These funds are key to paying back creditors who own the debt Hertz used to finance its fleet. So they've got a couple of different things here, right? So the decision problem is really the manager's point of view of the situation, and the research problem is us as a researching, restating the business problem and something that we can research. So think about this for a minute, and what sort of decision problem does Hertz need to make here? Maybe one of the problems they have is, are we going to maintain the fleet business? Are we going to be in the fleet business and sell used cars? So what would you do, or what questions would you want to ask from a researcher perspective to answer that problem? Maybe one question could be, how likely are consumers to buy used cars post-pandemic? See the nuance there? The business problem is, do we want to stay in this particular line of business? You have to ask consumers, or you have to figure out what the demand might be. So that's what I'm asking you to do. So you have one particular question from Hertz. You're also going to take a look at the business problems for Chuck E. Cheese and whether they should, and their impact from COVID-19, and then also Harley Davidson. So complete this activity by the assigned due date, and it's not August 10th, 2018. Sorry about that. And it is found in Canvas. So that's how I want you to practice taking business problems or identifying business problems and translating them into how you can research. So the last part is preparing a research agreement. Now this really is your expectations for the client and from the client in what you're researching. And remember, client could be your boss, client could be somebody that's hiring you to do particular research. But this is really important to make sure you have an agreement. I like to do this in writing, whether it is a formal agreement that you both sign or whether it is a nod in an email or an agreement, but get it in writing. So the research agreement should be executed by both the client or whoever you're working for. If it's your manager, if it's for the marketing team, you should include background, the events that led to the decision problem. So remember, you're going to give that background like I did in the activities with Hertz, with Chuck E. Cheese. What is the decision problem? What is the question confronting the manager? And then what are you specifically going to research? This is really important because sometimes when you start a research study, you're going to get the person you're working with is going to want to answer more and more and more questions. What might make your study unruly? And then you can negotiate. Are you going to add another research question in there, or are you going to stick with this and do a subsequent research study? Are you going to how are you going to get each piece of research? Who are you going to study? Are you going to study existing customers? Are you going to go out and get your information from consumers, etc.? And then logistics, how long is it going to take? And what money do you need to make it happen? So that's the research agreement. Again, it's really important whether you're working internally in an organization or you're consulting. We've also talked a little bit about the types of research. And here's just another list of some marketing topics you can think of. You can even go down to look at new markets, promotional messages. Should you work with a partner or collaborator? Employee satisfaction. So there's many, many, many topics in marketing that will help answer business problems. So when you're brainstorming research topics for your semester project, I want you to start off with a company, a product, or an idea. And I want you to ask or think about what really keeps them up at night. What are some of their most challenging business problems? Because that's really going to help you hone in on what that question is that they're seeking to answer. So I want you to take a minute, think about everything we've talked about today. What business problem are you going to study for your project? Start brainstorming, and there is a brainstorming activity in this module that you're going to create. And what research questions come from that problem? Remember, there's the business problem and the research questions. So I hope that this makes sense to you and that you know that building the foundation of getting the questions right in the beginning is really foundational to whether you have a successfully completed research project. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. The best way is to email me through Canvas. And as always, I'd love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have lots of videos out there on many interesting marketing topics such as this. Take care, everyone, and have a fantastic day.